Have you ever felt that inexplicable fatigue? The feeling of being completely exhausted, but not knowing why? Sometimes, even after resting, the body feels heavy, as if carrying an invisible weight. Have you been through this? If so, you need to stop and listen to what God is trying to tell you. This fatigue you feel may be more than just physical. It can be a spiritual alert, a divine sign for you to look within yourself. God uses different ways to speak to us, and one of them is through fatigue. When we are being called to something greater, He sends us messages through exhaustion. For many, fatigue is just a sign that the body needs rest. However, for the chosen ones, it can be a call to something deeper, something beyond the physical. Sometimes, this fatigue is the reflection of an invisible spiritual battle, of an emotional weight that is being carried, but which we cannot see with our eyes. It is important to understand that this fatigue is not a coincidence. It is an invitation from God to stop and align with His purpose. When we are called to a greater mission, both body and soul feel the weight of it in a unique way. This fatigue can be the first sign that something great is about to happen in your life. God is not punishing you. He is preparing you. He is purifying your soul and getting you ready for what is to come. The fatigue you feel may be the exact moment for a spiritual transformation that will take you to a new level of faith, strength, and purpose. And, as a chosen one, you have the responsibility to recognize these signs and seek divine direction. If you are feeling this fatigue without understanding, do not ignore it. It could be a warning from God for you to reevaluate your life, your steps, and reconnect with the Creator. It is time to listen, stop, and reflect on what God wants to show you. Do not let the weight of the world make you forget who you truly are and what you were called to do. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, go ahead and follow for more messages that will transform your life and help you understand the signs that God is sending you. Many times the fatigue we feel is not just physical. It can be a reflection of something that is happening within us. When the body feels heavy, even after a good rest, something more is going on. This type of exhaustion is not laziness or weakness, but a clear sign that something in your soul needs attention. The human body is more than a physical machine. It is also an essential part of our spiritual being. When we go through difficult moments or are carrying an emotional or spiritual weight, our body begins to reflect this in ways we cannot ignore. If you constantly feel exhausted, it may be your spirit crying out for help, signaling that something is out of balance. This feeling of deep fatigue that does not go away with physical rest can be a divine alert. God, in His wisdom, speaks to us through the body as if it were a messenger for the soul. When you are carrying an invisible burden, your body tends to show signs of that load. Often, it feels the impact before you comprehend what is happening on a spiritual level. The chosen ones carry a responsibility that goes beyond the physical. They have a greater purpose, a calling that often involves intercession and spiritual battles that are not visible to human eyes. These spiritual challenges can be so intense that they begin to manifest as physical exhaustion. The struggle that occurs on the spiritual plane can reflect on your body, causing this inexplicable fatigue. This fatigue should not be seen as something negative. On the contrary, it is an opportunity to stop and reflect. It can be a way for God to call you to a moment of introspection and spiritual alignment. Sometimes, the exhaustion we feel is an invitation to slow down, to listen to what God has to say to us. It is as if the body is asking you to stop and reconnect with heaven. Deep down, this fatigue may be asking you to realign with your purpose once again. Sometimes, we are so caught up in daily demands, obligations, and life's challenges that we stray from our true purpose. The body begins to signal that something is wrong when we distance ourselves from what we were called to do. When this happens, it is important to listen to what your body is saying. Physical fatigue can be a way for God to invite you to stop, to reflect, and to return to what really matters. By recognizing this connection between physical and spiritual fatigue, you begin to understand that there is an opportunity for transformation. This moment of exhaustion can be the turning point for a new level of consciousness and alignment with heaven. So the next time you feel exhausted for no apparent reason, ask yourself, what is happening within me? This fatigue may be God's way of telling you that it is time to stop, to listen, and to realign with His will. It is an invitation to rest, not just physically, but spiritually. And by doing so, you will find the peace and renewal you need. When fatigue arrives with an intensity that does not make sense, it may be the reflection of a deeper process happening within you. Sometimes we feel an exhaustion that does not disappear with rest or relaxation. This fatigue is not something negative. It is a clear sign that something in our soul is being worked on, cleaned, and renewed. This is the moment when we are being purified. Imagine this fatigue as a spiritual cleansing. Just as we clean our home, removing everything that is old, dirty, or unnecessary, God also performs an internal cleaning in us. During this process, we are often confronted with old emotions, hurts, and traumas that we still carry without realizing it. These feelings may be deeply rooted in our soul, and purification requires that they come to the surface so that we can finally release everything that prevents us from moving forward. This type of purification does not happen gently. The spiritual cleansing is an intense process that can make us feel as if we are overloaded. The fatigue that arises at this moment is the reflection of this inner work, where God is cleaning out old energies, releasing trapped emotions, and removing the burdens that we often carry for a long time without realizing it. This process is necessary for us to live the new, for us to grow and transform into a stronger and more prepared version of ourselves. Do not be fooled. Fatigue may seem like a burden, but it is a sign that something good is about to happen. You are not being punished for your failures or weaknesses. You are being prepared for something greater. When God purifies us, He prepares us to live a new phase, a new level of experience and understanding. This fatigue is not a punishment, but a sign that we are being refined, shaped to fulfill the purpose He has for our lives. During this process, it may be difficult to understand why we feel so exhausted, especially when all we do is try to move forward. But when we look with spiritual eyes, we realize that exhaustion is just a symptom of something happening invisibly and deeply. By cleaning away the layers of pain and untreated emotions, God prepares us to receive what He has for us. Purification precedes transformation, and only when we go through it can we truly experience renewal. As you go through this purification process, you may feel like you are losing something. It can be painful, and the fatigue may seem overwhelming. But know that what you are leaving behind are things that no longer serve your purpose. God is not taking something away from you. Rather, He is making space for something better to come in. And when the purification is complete, you will feel lighter, stronger, and more aligned with the divine purpose. No matter how difficult it may be, remember, the fatigue you feel is temporary. It is the preparation for something greater. The purification process you are experiencing is necessary for you to become the person that God always knew you could be. And after going through this phase, you will be ready to embrace the new, renewed, and strengthened. Have you ever felt exhausted after a day, even without having done anything physically exhausting? This type of fatigue, which has no logical explanation, can be a reflection of something deeper happening around you. Sometimes, our energy does not just come from what we do physically, but also from the environment we are in, the people we interact with, and the spiritual battles we do not see but feel. The chosen ones are especially sensitive to these energies. They have a deeper spiritual connection, and as a result, can be more affected by charged environments, by people who drain their strengths, or by intense emotional situations. This energetic fatigue is not just a physical matter, but a response from your spirit, indicating that something around you is sucking your vital energy. Heavy environments, filled with negativity, can significantly impact your spiritual field. Imagine entering a place where the atmosphere is tense, where people seem to be constantly complaining or fighting. This type of energy can deeply affect your well-being, even if you do not immediately notice it. Unlike calm and positive environments, which can recharge your energy, these places can drain your strength without you realizing it. Similarly, the people we associate with have a direct impact on our energy. There are people who, intentionally or not, end up draining our vitality. They may be negative, critical, or simply not contribute to our growth and well-being. Even the closest relationships can affect us this way, especially if we are always giving but never receiving the same in return. When we are surrounded by people who do not empower us, spiritual and energetic weariness is inevitable. Moreover, the spiritual battles we face, often silent, can also have a significant impact. We are constantly in a spiritual struggle, even if we do not see it with our physical eyes. There are invisible forces trying to divert us from our purpose and make us feel exhausted, as if we are carrying an invisible burden. These battles can be exhausting and difficult to understand, but they are real and profoundly affect our spiritual energy. If you are feeling constantly drained, it is possible that your soul is responding to these external influences. The fatigue you feel is not simply a matter of not getting enough rest. It may be a message from your spirit, alerting you that something around you is not in harmony with your essence. God, in His wisdom, uses these signs to warn us. It is time to act, to protect yourself, and to seek spiritual balance again. This is the moment to stop and reflect. Are you in environments that strengthen you or weaken you? Are you associating with people who uplift you or drain you? Have the spiritual battles you face been too many, leaving you exhausted? If the answer is yes, it is time to protect yourself. God is calling you to seek spiritual protection, to distance yourself from everything and everyone that does not contribute to your well-being. The good news is that you have the power to change this. You can, with God's help, protect your energy field and move away from what does not strengthen you. When you do this, you will notice that the fatigue begins to decrease. Your energy will be renewed, and you will feel lighter, more connected to your divine purpose. Therefore, if you have been feeling exhausted, check what is happening around you. God is warning you to protect yourself, to clean your energy, and to distance yourself from what does not empower you. Energetic fatigue can be a sign that it is time to act, to create an environment of peace and harmony, and to surround yourself only with people and situations that contribute to your spiritual health. When fatigue becomes unbearable and nothing seems to alleviate the sense of exhaustion, it is a clear sign. Your soul is asking for something deeper, something that goes beyond physical rest or a good night's sleep. The spirit, in its essence, longs for reconnection with the Creator. The fatigue you feel may, in fact, be a divine invitation to turn to the source of your strength, God. It is curious how, in moments of great weakness, God becomes more present. The feeling of exhaustion, the difficulty in finding solutions, is often God's way of calling your attention. He does not want you to struggle alone. He wants you to stop, breathe, and seek rest in Him. Modern life demands a lot from us, but God teaches us that in stillness and prayer, we find true strength. When we feel disconnected, whether from our mission or our faith, the fatigue intensifies. The soul, burdened by external and internal demands, cries out for help. And it is in this silent cry that God responds. Fatigue is not merely a symptom of physical fatigue, but a call to silence the noise of life and listen to what He has to say. This is the moment when we need to step away from distractions, and seek to reconnect our spirit with the Creator. The truth is that, as chosen ones, our spiritual journey requires a constant connection with God. We cannot walk disconnected. When we distance ourselves from the source of our strength, we begin to feel more. Fatigue is not just a physical sign. It is a reflection of a spiritual disconnection. When we are not nourishing our soul with prayer, meditation, or moments of stillness, we begin to empty ourselves. The soul asks to be filled, to be restored. When this happens, the best response is not to seek external solutions, but to turn inward and reconnect with the source of all energy and peace, God. It is when we stop to pray, when we surrender in meditation, or simply silence ourselves to listen to heaven, that we find true renewal. Prayer becomes a balm for the weary soul, a space where we can rest in Him and let His peace envelop us. Therefore, when you feel that the fatigue does not pass, when you realize that no physical rest works, know that God is inviting you to stop and turn to Him. He has not abandoned you. He is always there, waiting for you to reconnect, even when you no longer know what to do. So, take time to listen to heaven, to restore yourself spiritually, and allow God to renew your strength. Because it is when we are weakest that He reveals Himself as our true strength. There are moments in life when everything feels heavy. The feeling of swimming against the current, where things do not flow as they should, can be distressing. If you have ever been through this, you know what I'm talking about. The physical and emotional exhaustion that appears when everything seems confusing and disorderly. But what if I told you that this exhaustion can be more than just fatigue? It can be a divine warning, a clear sign that you are out of your purpose. God, in His wisdom, uses fatigue as a way to grab our attention. When life feels heavy and meaningless, it is possible that you are expending energy where you shouldn't. Often we become so involved in things that are not aligned with our life mission that we begin to feel lost. Fatigue arises as a way to tell us, stop, reflect, and return to the path I have shown you. This is the moment to realign your direction, to reevaluate where you are investing your energies. When we are out of purpose, everything seems to be more difficult. Decisions become more confusing. The routine drags on, and even relationships seem more draining. This happens because, in our essence, we know that we are going against the natural flow of our life, against that for which we were called. Fatigue is not just a symptom of overwork or pressure, but of a disconnection from what truly matters. It is a warning for us to take a pause so that we can reconsider our paths. This is the time to evaluate your choices. How have you been using your energy? Are your daily decisions aligned with who you really are and with the purpose God has for your life? If you feel that something is out of place, it is time to act. Fatigue will continue to accompany you as long as you do not change direction, for life does not flow fully when we are out of alignment with our true calling. God is calling you to return to the path He has prepared for you. It may be necessary to adjust your routine, rethink your priorities, and even distance yourself from situations or people that do not contribute to your spiritual growth. When you realign with His purpose, fatigue begins to diminish, and you feel more at peace, more energized, and closer to living your divine mission. Many chosen ones have a natural tendency to want to carry the weight of the world on their shoulders. This can be seen as a great willpower, but it can also be a sign that we are ignoring something essential: rest. Society teaches us to run all the time, to always be in motion, to pursue relentless productivity. But God calls us to a balanced life, where rest is a fundamental part of the plan. God did not create us to live exhausted. Rest is not a sign of weakness, but of wisdom. He teaches us that even the strongest need to stop to refuel. If you have been feeling constantly exhausted, it may be a sign that you are trying to be too strong, without allowing space for renewal. God has shown us throughout the scriptures that rest is necessary for our physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Even Jesus, the Son of God, knew the importance of rest. He, in moments of exhaustion, would withdraw to pray, to regroup, and to find strength again. Elijah also rested before hearing the still small voice of God on Mount Horeb. He understood that to hear divine guidance, he needed to stop, quiet himself, and replenish spiritually. If even these great examples of faith understood that resting was part of the plan, why would it be different for us? Often we become so involved in the demands of life, in the responsibilities we carry, that we forget to take care of ourselves. Fatigue is a warning that we are wearing ourselves out, and God uses that moment to call us to restoration. Rest should not be seen as something unnecessary or a luxury. It is part of the divine strategy for our renewal. Without it, we cannot fully function in the purpose that God has prepared for us. Receive exhaustion as a divine invitation to restore your strength, both physical and spiritual. When you allow yourself to stop and rest, God has the opportunity to renew you from the inside out. It is in rest that He restores our mind, body, and spirit. Do not be afraid to slow down. God wants to renew you so that you are prepared to move forward with more strength and clarity on the path He has for you. Many chosen ones have a natural tendency to want to carry the weight of the world on their shoulders. This can be seen as a great willpower, but it can also be a sign that we are ignoring something essential: rest. Society teaches us to run all the time, to always be in motion, to pursue relentless productivity. But God calls us to a balanced life, where rest is a fundamental part of the plan. God did not create us to live exhausted. Rest is not a sign of weakness, but of wisdom. He teaches us that even the strongest need to stop to refuel. If you have been feeling constantly exhausted, it may be a sign that you are trying to be too strong without allowing space for renewal. God has shown us throughout the scriptures that rest is necessary for our physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Even Jesus, the Son of God, knew the importance of rest. He, in moments of exhaustion, would withdraw to pray, to regroup, and to find strength again. Elijah also rested before hearing the still small voice of God on Mount Horeb. He understood that to hear divine guidance, he needed to stop, quiet himself, and replenish spiritually. If even these great examples of faith understood that resting was part of the plan, why would it be different for us? Often, we become so involved in the demands of life, in the responsibilities we carry, that we forget to take care of ourselves. Fatigue is a warning that we are wearing ourselves out, and God uses that moment to call us to restoration. Rest should not be seen as something unnecessary or a luxury. It is part of the divine strategy for our renewal. Without it, we cannot fully function in the purpose that God has prepared for us. Receive exhaustion as a divine invitation to restore your strength, both physical and spiritual. When you allow yourself to stop and rest, God has the opportunity to renew you from the inside out. It is in rest that He restores our mind, body, and spirit. Do not be afraid to slow down. God wants to renew you so that you are prepared to move forward with more strength and clarity on the path He has for you. The pain of growth is real, but it is also a sign that you are moving towards something new and extraordinary. This fatigue is the preparation for the renewal that is to come. God is guiding you to a time of more peace, more clarity, and more strength. If you have been feeling a fatigue that makes no sense, do not ignore it. You are chosen. And for that reason, you carry things that others do not see. You face struggles that others do not understand. This fatigue is a message, a call, an invitation to restoration. Do not fight alone. Connect with God. Allow yourself to rest. Purify your inner self. And above all, trust that there is a purpose even in exhaustion. After purification comes renewal. And you, chosen one, will rise stronger than ever.